Hey guys, welcome back to the Work Hard, Live Soft podcast, where I will show you how to build a successful business that gives you the freedom to live a life that you love. So I'm really excited about today's episode because I want to teach you guys or share with you guys how I design, plan, live, and delegate so I can live a life that is really fun, exciting, and most importantly, fulfilling, which is really, really important to me. So every year, 2 to 3 times a year, I host a business building retreat for my clients who are inside of my Launch Accelerator program. And inside this retreat, one of the first things that we do is talk about how they want to live their life as a CEO. So when my clients are working with me, some of the things that we primarily focus on are how do you generate more sales? How do you launch your business? How do you launch your signature offer? What's your messaging? How do you strategize? How do you position yourself as the best in the industry? And we talk so much about business, but when they come to this retreat, I really want to dive deep into the life that they want to live. So day 1 is about developing the CEO, and then day 2 is about developing their business. And so when we talk about developing the CEO, we talk about how do you make sure you are being poured into so you can actually show up for your business so you can be successful and then allow your business to serve you in the way that you want to be served. So I wrote down 4 different ways that I actually plan and design my life, and I have some notes here that I want to be able to share with you all. But another thing that is really important to me is, as an entrepreneur, I've been an entrepreneur for about 15 years now, and I have personally experienced anxiety and depression as an entrepreneur because I prioritized my business over my personal life. And I have seen a lot of other entrepreneurs do that because they didn't prioritize their life and their happiness and their fulfillment and their freedom alongside their business. A lot of people spend more time planning out the success of their business than they do planning out the success of their life. And I think also that so many people think that a successful business equals a successful life. And when you get to a place where you have a lot of money in your bank account, but you don't have a lot of joy in your heart, you recognize that having a successful business does not automatically mean having a successful life. You can absolutely have both. It doesn't have to be one or the other. It doesn't have to be I'm rich and I have a lot of clients, but I am feeling depressed at home or my home life is messed up. And it also doesn't have to mean I take care of home only and I'm happy with my friends and my family, but I can't seem to, run a successful business. You have to truly believe that you can have both. One of my favorite books is The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. And one of the concepts in this book is where he talks about upper limiting, where you feel like you can really only have money or success, or you can only have love or happiness, but you can't have a combination of all of the things. And when you have this belief in your mind that you can't have all of these things, what happens is you upper limit, which is essentially you self-sabotage. All of us have this internal thermostat within us where we believe that there is a limit to how much love, happiness, and success that we can have in our lives. And if you don't believe that you can have a successful business and have a successful life, one of those things is going to suffer. So the first thing is you need to believe that you can have a successful life and a successful relationship and a successful business all at the same time. You just need to be able to find the harmony in how you want to do all of those things. So I wanted to share that first because I see so many entrepreneurs who they spend every waking hour building their business and they neglect themselves as a result. They neglect their health, they neglect their relationships, they neglect their happiness. And I really wish that I would see more entrepreneurs prioritize being fulfilled and finding a level of peace. So let's talk about how I design my life. There are 4 major things that I do to build a fulfilling and intentional life as a CEO. The first thing is that you need to set a very clear standard for your life based on your values. And by the way, there is a free worksheet for today's episode. If you go to mayaelious.com/dreamlife, I will share the exact worksheet that my clients who pay me 5 figures to work with me throughout the year and show up to these retreats, I will give you that exact worksheet for free. Just go to mayaelious.com/dreamlife. So the first thing on this worksheet that you will see is you will see a list of values. A lot of people have not defined their personal core values. And so they're just literally out here winging life. They don't know what decisions to make. They battle with decision fatigue. They battle with how they want to show up in relationships, how they want to show up in their friendships, how they want to deal with their money, how they want to deal with just all areas of their life. And if you have not set a standard for your life based on your values, you will have no direction in your life. And so the first thing that I encourage my clients to do is to set 4 to 8 core personal values for your life that really are just your guiding principles of how you want to live. This is going to allow you to feel so secure in your identity. One thing that a lot of people struggle with, especially women of faith, is that they struggle with their identity, especially entrepreneurs as well. We struggle with our identity. And so when we go on social media, we are constantly comparing ourselves. And the only reason you would ever compare yourself is when you don't feel like you are enough or when you are not clear on who you are. But when you are so grounded and rooted and established in who you are, it literally makes no sense for you to compare yourself to somebody else because you recognize that you are two different people with two different sets of values or guiding principles. So the first thing is really establishing your identity by being clear on your standards and your values. I'll share a few of some of my personal core values. The first one is personal responsibility, which interchangeably could be accountability, self-accountability. I believe in personal responsibility because personally, I honestly like having control. I'm a little bit of a control freak. And the more I can take responsibility for a situation, the more I can control the outcome of it. So personal responsibility is really big for me. I never operate in victim mode. I think it's quite literally the biggest waste of time to act like a victim. Obviously not in like real life situations where you have been harmed or assaulted, but in small situations like when you're running your business and a team member doesn't do something or somebody doesn't pay you or somebody screws you over on a contract, the only option is to take personal responsibility, fix the situation, and move on from it. I like to make decisions very efficiently, and the only way I'm able to do that is if I give myself as much power and control as possible responsibly by taking personal responsibility. Another really important core value of mine is aesthetic. I just love a beautiful presentation. And I think this is the creative and the designer in me. For those of you who are new to my brand, I used to be a web and graphic designer, and I just like to see things done really well, really nicely. And this translates into my personal life with my home and how I dress and my hair and my makeup. It's just something for me that just really matters. I just like to show up well represented. I like pretty things. I like to look nice, and I like to live in nice spaces. So I just want you to think of some of the things that really matter to you. And there's nothing that is too small. Somebody might think that, dressing up nice or getting your makeup done is so silly because it's not a personal value to them. But to you, if that matters, then maybe presentation or beauty or, aesthetic is a core value of yours. So I want you to sit and think about what are 4 to 8 things that really matter to me, okay? Which is going to bring me to my second point, because if you're not really clear on what matters to you, what I want you to do is I want you to consider what you think about with your day-to-day. I want you to think about where you're spending your time and your money, and that's going to show you what you really value. And so my second point is, when it comes to building your soft life, I want you to think about scheduling what matters to you. So another core value of mine is family and love. I love so much. I'm a hopeless romantic, but I also love family and friendship and just loving on people. And so I make sure that, I see my family at least every other weekend. It's really important for me that it is inside of my schedule to have dinner with my parents or go to my sister's house or spend time with my nieces and my nephew. So part of your soft life is scheduling what matters. Oftentimes we make the assumption that if it matters to us, that we will automatically do it. This is such a poor assumption. The most successful and fulfilled people schedule what matters. They prioritize what matters. When I'm on a health kick and getting back into fitness, I feel really confident when I have a cute set on. And typically I wear neutrals or solids and stay away from patterns. But with the weather being nice and warm, I've been getting into more colors and patterns lately. That's why I've been really into the Bold collection from Elious Fit. Because not only are these sets super cute, but they feel so good. And they're really flattering and supportive. They're buttery soft, they're really flexible, and flattering without being too revealing. And they have pockets. Everybody loves pockets. All sets are $55 now, but you can get your first set from the Bold collection for just $40. And sizes range from small to 3X, so there's a fit for every body. Go to rebelliousfit.com and use the code HARDWORK to get $15 off your first set from the Bold collection. That's rebellious with 1L fit.com. So it's really important that you look at your day-to-day. What is really important for you to do every single day? What is really important for you to do every single week? What is really important for you to do bi-weekly? What is really important for you to do monthly, quarterly, biannually, and annually? This is how I literally plan my life at the beginning of the year. I say, what are my daily routines? What do I need to do once a week? What do I need to be doing bi-weekly? And so some examples of that would be like daily morning routine, obviously waking up, making your bed, brushing your teeth, all of like the normal things, but maybe reading a devotional. If your relationship with God is really important to you, part of your daily routine might be reading a devotional, reading a Bible verse, reading some type of scripture. If personal development is something that is really important to you, listening to a podcast in the morning, watching a YouTube video, reading a physical book, listening to an audiobook. So you want to think about what really matters to you and make sure it's in your day-to-day. Also, what matters to you every single week or bi-weekly. Again, I break down my cadences daily, weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, quarterly, biannually, and annually. If looking nice is something that matters to me, I'm making sure I'm getting my hair done, I'm getting my nails done every other week. So again, just pay attention to what matters to you and build a cadence off of that. But when you write down your values and when you look at your bank account and when you look at your schedule and your time and your money is not going to what you value, it's very likely that you are dealing with a lot of stress, anxiety, or depression right now because you are not taking enough time to invest in what actually fulfills you. And so when you find that you are burnt out, when you find out that you are depleted, it's because you are not filling your cup. So the first two things about like living an intentional life that you love and living this soft life is knowing what actually makes your life soft, knowing what actually makes your life fulfilling and intentional and enjoyable, and then making sure you invest the time and the money to live that fulfilling life. Now, the third thing that I do is I set goals for myself. This is really important because we all feel a sense of accomplishment when we stretch ourselves to do something. And so I like to set goals for myself in 8 different categories. Those categories are health, personal development, finances, career or business, fun, hobbies, charity, relationships, and faith. And I take a look at these categories and I say, how can I advance or stretch myself in every single one of these categories? This is going to make you a well-rounded individual. It's going to ensure that you don't just care about money, but you also care about generosity and actually giving. It's going to make sure that you don't just care about building a successful business, but you also care about your relationships with your friends and family. So thinking about these 8 categories allows you to really make sure that you live a life that is in harmony or in balance. And then the beauty is when you're setting these goals, how you decide to achieve these goals will be based on what your values are. So make sure that you're setting goals for yourself so year after year, you're not feeling like you're in the same exact place. I love checking in on my goals every single quarter. When I get to the end of every quarter and I look back at my goals that I've written down and I've been able to knock out 1 or 2 things from each category, that makes me just feel really good about myself. If you find that you struggle with low confidence, I challenge you to set goals for yourself and actually do what you're going to say. The easiest way to build confidence in yourself is to keep your promises to yourself. Oftentimes we're looking for confidence based on what people are saying about us, what we think people think about us, and you need to worry about what you think about yourself. I'm not the type of person to lie generally, but I damn sure don't lie to myself. When I say I'm going to do something, I do it. And that is what allows me to build this confidence within myself. Because if, God forbid, at the end of the day, I couldn't rely on anybody, I know I can rely on myself to keep my word and to do the work. So set these goals for yourself, set deadlines for them, check in on them quarterly, and make sure that you're sticking to your word. Now, another thing that I will say about this is as you evolve, some of your goals might change, and that's okay. But you need to be honest with yourself. Don't say you have a goal to save $1,000 within 6 months, and then you get to your 6 months and you have saved $250, and you're like, you know what? Saving $1,000 didn't really matter that much to me. No, don't lie to yourself. Now, if you have a goal of, let's say, starting a nonprofit, and 6 months later you decide you don't want to start a nonprofit because you actually did the research and you realized it was out of alignment and you would actually rather start a business, that's a little bit different. But don't go switching around your goals because you didn't keep your promise to yourself. All right? And then last but not least, the fourth thing is actually figuring out the level of support that you need to hit these goals. Again, the most successful people not only prioritize and schedule what really matters to them, but they know that they don't have to do everything by themselves. They like to operate in their zone of genius, which is another concept from The Big Leap. It's a great book. Y'all all need to read it. But operating in your zone of genius is just the best thing that you can do for yourself. So your zone of genius is really the place where you just are your absolute best, where you are beyond excellent, where you just show up doing only what you can do. Now, of course, this takes some time. Of course, eventually this will take some money being able to hire people, but it's always about just planning and saying, okay, if I was operating at my best, if I was living the life that I truly desire to live, how much money would I need and who would I need supporting me? And so I have written down some things that I want in my life or that I already have in my life. I knew that I wanted a personal assistant to just help me with everyday things. Like I cannot stand administrative stuff, and just adulting is just so challenging, right? And adulting as an entrepreneur is just even more overwhelming. So somebody that could like go to FedEx and get my packages for me, somebody that can take my dry cleaning for me, somebody that can help me plan out my meals, just to relieve the mental capacity of all of these everyday things that I need to do, that is really important to me. And oftentimes it's really hard for people to admit that they need help. They don't want to show any signs of weaknesses. I would rather look weak than be overworked. So if you think it's weak that I don't want to go pick up my packages or go get, my laundry or whatever it is, that's fine. You can think I'm weak, but let me tell you what I am is not burnt out. I am a very happy woman. So I really encourage you to think about what are the things that are draining you right now, and could you delegate this to somebody? It doesn't even have to be a personal assistant. If you are married, if you're in a relationship, if you are in a partnership, make sure that you have a conversation with your partner on some of the things that you need support in. If you don't have this conversation and you want them supporting you, you are going to end up building resentment to the person that you love most. So make sure that you are asking for support from people who are close to you, or if you need to make the right hire. Some other type of hires you can think about specifically in your personal life. I'll do this episode about how I do this for my business. So I'm not going to get into like hiring, a copywriter or a graphic designer or anything like that. But for your personal life, you might want to hire a chef or a meal prep company. You might want to hire a massage therapist, just whatever it is that you think you will need. And again, many times what I find is that we reject ourselves before we allow other people to reject us. We get so nervous that people will say no. And so we say no to ourselves before we give anybody else the opportunity to. And so we immediately say, like, I could never hire a housekeeper. I could never have a chef come cook for me. I could never have a meal prep service or whatever it is. And we say these things without having done the research for it. So I want you to just think about, if I got the support that I needed, where would it come from? Who would it come from? Let me see how much it cost. Let me just simply ask. It's either a yes or a no. And guess what? If one person tells you no, there are millions and billions of people in the world. Go ask somebody else, okay? You don't have to sit around and feel sorry for yourself. Go and do the research to get the help that you need. So those are my 4 takeaways of how I build and design an intentional life as a CEO. I set a very clear standard for my life based on my values. I ensure that I am living these values by scheduling them and by prioritizing them. I set very clear goals for myself throughout 8 categories. I only set 1 to 3 goals in all of these categories because 23 goals in 1 year is kind of a lot. So don't stretch yourself too thin. And then I make sure that I get support with all of these things because I know I don't have to do it all by myself. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to download this worksheet. Go to mayaelious.com/dreamlife. It is time for you to build your dream life. You have been working very, very, very hard. It's now time that you do the work to build the life that you love. So I want you to follow these 4 steps. And when you do the work, I want you to come back to this episode, leave a comment, and let me know that you did it. And if you want me to see it, feel free to take a picture. If you do it in your notes on your phone, take a screenshot, post it, and tag me on Instagram at Maya Elious. I would love to see it. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure that you like, comment, share, and subscribe. I am so excited to see you do this work, and I hope you keep working hard, but most importantly, living soft.